Hi, this is KORG Gadget for Nintendo Switch. It's based on the very powerful Gadget for iOS and Mac, but it's very much a slimmed down version, so if you're expecting a complete digital audio workstation, check out the other versions. This one I'm gonna test with kids. So I brought my daughter on board, which has no previous knowledge of anything related to digital audio workstations. I gave her a 1-minute intro, and this is our first session creating a song together. We're going to play on one screen. There's a split screen mode as well. And we'll start by laying a basic drum pattern. This is the clip or piano roll screen. It's one of 4 different screens in Gadget for Switch. I'm laying down the light blue notes, and my daughter is laying down the red ones. There's a shortcut for dropping a lot of notes at once, and each gadget has plenty of presets. We're using a gadget called London, which is one of 16 gadgets or instruments that you can play. This one plays a different instrument for every row. Clearly you can see which one of us has more talent for this. So that's basically the clip view or piano roll for beat-oriented instruments. Let's zoom out. The second out of 4 screens is the song screen. Here we can add additional instruments. There's a fairly broad range here, and she wants this one. Now for instruments that play notes, the clip screen looks like this. Classic piano roll. This gadget is called Kingston. It creates 8-bit style arcade game sounds. You can choose different scales here, and based on what you pick, the lines out of the scale will be crossed out. Now, for the sake of creative freedom, we'll leave this line in, but I'll move to the third out of 4 screens, which is the mixer screen. You can solo or mute tracks here, or just control their level. Okay, good. Let's move on. You can add multiple tracks of the same instrument, so I could add another drum track here if I wanted, but that's not needed now. I'll change the gadget to Chiang Mai, which is an FM or VPM style synth. Now, had we picked split screen mode, each of us could be working still on the same song, but on different instruments or looking at different screens. So for example, I could be on the piano roll screen and she could be on the mixer screen. Okay, and I think we have our minimalist Chiang Mai masterpiece. So that's basic note entry. Let's look at a little bit more advanced stuff. I'll pick a different synth for that. Now I say advanced with a grain of salt. I think that an interface with a mouse or a controller or a keyboard, which unfortunately you don't have here and you can't plug in here, would be more convenient for entering notes. And that's why I think this is more of something to have fun with people than necessarily the best music production tool. Okay, so this is how our scene is coming together. Let's dive in and change some parameters of this clip. So a clip can be up to 8 bars long. I'll double this one to 2 bars. Now any other clips in this scene will loop on themselves twice in this particular case. So while this clip is 2 bars long, the other ones will just repeat twice for every time this plays. And you can configure the resolution of the grid and play triplets as well if you want. Now you can also program automation on this piano roll, and for that let's go to the 4th screen, which is the individual gadget or instrument screen, to understand what we can automate or what we can play with. So here you use the keys to highlight the parameter you want to change, and then you can edit it using the controls. Nice. And I'll show you how to edit this using motion control later on. Okay, so that's enough for the core elements of our song. Now you can use Song View to edit the progression of your song, and every row represents a different scene or different part of your song. For example, an intro, chorus, or verse. Now, you can either copy or paste clips around, or you can just create brand new clips for a particular section of your song. In this case, just to make it quick, I will copy this bit and put it here, and it's really just as simple as that. And once you click a scene, it'll transition at the end of the previous one. I will quickly fill in this one with the drums, and let's add this line to the third row as well. And you can keep going, again, either creating new clips or just copying and pasting clips and moving them around to create new scenes. You can duplicate scenes, you can't copy and paste entire scenes. That may be added in the future. I'm sure this is just a first version. And okay, so I think that's good enough for this song. Let's hear the whole thing. Now, up until now, we were working in a mode where each scene repeats itself, and you can disable that so that one scene leads into another. So that was our little 5-minute challenge. Let's move on to some other details. Okay, so up until now we looked at TV mode. Let's look at how Gadget for Switch works outside its dock. So unfortunately, at least in this version, the touch controls don't work in most of the places, which is a shame. And I have no inside information about this, but I'm really hoping and almost sure they'll improve this in a coming version, because it really doesn't make sense. There's a great touch screen, especially on the piano roll. It would be nice to enter notes using your finger rather than moving around with a cursor, which is much less convenient. There is partial touch control on the note playing sections of the gadgets, but not on the knobs. So on most of the gadgets, the entire top section is not enabled. Again, currently that might change in the future, except 2. And this one, this part is a little bit unusable, but you can change the top effects and play around with that a bit. So it's a little bit inconsistent there. The second gadget that lets you use on-screen controls in a really nice way, Kamata. It's an 8-bit wavetable synth where you can literally draw the 8-bit waveform and play it. So that's the touchscreen. There are some motion play options here. The first is you can play notes by moving the controller up and down and pressing the button. And there's a really cool knob turning function. So even though you can't use the touch screen, you can select one of the knobs using the arrow keys and just turn the knob in mid-air. Now you can also record this motion if you want onto a track. Notice as I take focus off this knob, it's moving on its own because this motion was pre-recorded. So, that's my review of Gadget for Nintendo Switch. This masterpiece will be available on Spotify soon. No, just kidding. If you want to produce music on your own, you're probably better off with the iOS or Mac versions, which have more features. But for real-time multi-person production, this is probably the best game in town. If you enjoyed this review, hit like and leave a comment below. If you want to see more reviews like this, hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Thanks very much for watching.